Hey there, Wargamers, Justin on Patreon. Today, boom, we're going to check out some Battletech. I'd like to welcome you guys back to the channel. If you are new here, please alpha strike that like and subscribe button. And if you're a returning viewer, thank you so much for tuning in to continue to help support what I do. That said, today we're going to be checking out the Battletech Battlefield Support Heavy Battle and Sweep Lances that came out in the most recent Battletech Mercenaries Kickstarter from Catalyst Game Labs. That said, I don't know when this is going to be up for general purchase in hobby stores and so forth, but I would like to give you guys a preview of what's in here today, just in case you missed the Kickstarter or you got stuff on the Kickstarter that you're waiting for. You have a pretty good idea of what to expect from this box.
All right, so next up we've got the Battlefield Support Battletech Heavy Battle and Sweep Lances. As the trend with all the videos are, I can't remember what the price of this was because I got it on Kickstarter. I don't have the price list next to me. I do remember that I bought or added on 2 of each one of these total to my pledge, so I would have 4 of each vehicle with the exception of the objectives box. And I remember at the time thinking the price, the value on these was really good relative to what's on the market today in regards to 3D prints and the metals from Iron One Metals or third-party other proxies from like Cav or something like that. So I felt like these were good. That said, I've showed you the box, give you my ramble about thinking the price was good, even though I don't remember what it was, and we're going to jump into the contents today. So pop this open, get our cards out, and pull out our units. First things first, I always show you guys the art in the back. Obviously mentioned this isn't an insert, which would be cool, but all the vehicles have the same back art on them anyway. So let's go ahead and check out the cards and give you guys a peek. Now, one of the things that I noticed, and again, I don't know the order in which these videos will go up, but while I was filming them, I thought that they gave us 2 of the identical cards, right? So the Patton, I was thinking we have 2 Patton cards, and at first glance I see this art. I didn't see the points, I just saw whatever, and I was sorting them like this, you know, separating out, because I thought, because we had, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 vehicles and 2 of each, that they just gave us 2 cards. But they did give us 2 cards, but there were 4 variants. I thought it was just going to be the same card duplicated. So there was a video or 2 where I didn't show all of these off, and I had to go back and fix them. So there are definitely some value in variants here. That said, with the cards you get, you're going to get the Battlefield support cards for Classic as well. I don't play Classic, so these are less useful for me currently, but everything I've heard about vehicles in Classic is they can bog the game down. There's a lot of extra rules and minutiae that go into using them. Tracking damage, how many pips they have and stuff is a lot from what I have been told. With the way these function, from what I recall, this is going to allow you to add a little spice, a little flair, a little flavor to your games of Battletech Classic without slowing it down too much. So the rules for this are in the Mercenaries box set. I don't know if the rules for the Battlefield support are anywhere else right now. If they aren't, they should be, because it's a shame that you could buy these boxes here with these cards and then not know how to use them. That is unfortunate, especially if the only way to find those rules is in that Mercenary box set, but I'm not positive that's the only place they exist. So if you happen to know where those exist somewhere else that is not pirated, feel free to sign off in the comments below. You could just literally name drop if it's in a specific book or something, but I think it's in currently in the Mercenary box set. So if you play Classic Battletech, these might be useful for you. If you're like me and you do Alpha Strike, these are what you're going to be looking at. And you know, if you've been playing Alpha Strike for any appreciable amount of time, you're going to go straight to the master unit list anyway. But if you're trying to play these right out of the box with a friend, we'll check out the cards and see what the value is for them for you. So first up, we have the Patton tank coming in at 28 points, usable in the Succession Wars through the Ill Clan, 1 TMM, 8 track, 220 for damage, 4812 HP, AC, search, and turret. Not too bad. I wish that, you know, I like stuff with a TMM2 preferably, but for the HP that it's got, the points and the damage, not terrible. Let's check out the XL variant at 35 points. That is coming at 7 points more. Usable in the Dark Age and Ill Clan era only. This one is it has 12 HP, TMM1, 8T, 433 for damage, case, indirect fire, asterisk, rear, and then it's got search and turret. So yeah, little bit more, but you're getting some damage out of it, so I could see an argument for this over some mechs, but not terrible. A little pricey, but not terrible. Here's the Ultra version at 32 points, usable in the Civil War through the Ill Clan era, TMM1, 8T, 332 for damage, 12 HP, rear, searchlight, turret. Yeah, I don't mind that. It's a little cheaper than this one. Similar damage, and you're probably going to be cruising around at medium range most of the time anyway and not leveraging long range, so not terrible. I could see a use for this one. And we have the Taurian Patton tank, 33 points, usable in the Dark Age of the Ilkline era, TMM2, 10 movement, and 221 for damage. So yeah, this is going to come in closer to the baseline mech that I compare things to. He's got more life than that baseline has, a little less damage, similar movement, and TMM, so not bad if you're trying to leverage something that's a little tanky. He's also got flak, indirect fire, rear, searchlight, and turret. And yeah, so that's the 2 patent cards with the 4 variants. Moving over, we have the Pike support vehicle, which I thought was a Shrek because I saw triple barrels. 18 points, usable from the Succession Wars through the Ill Clan, TMM1, 6T, 111 for damage, 8 life, EE, search, and turret. I feel like that of the reviews I've done, I feel like at similar points I'd probably take that Hetzer. Hetzer's a little more fragile, but its mobility and a little bit more damage I think is more useful. This coming in at 5 points more. TMM1 6T, usable in the Dark Age No Clan era, 221 for damage, 9 life, case, FC, flak, search, turret. Yeah, again, kind of the same concern I was having when I was talking about the Hetzer. I feel like for the damage and the TMM and stuff, there's other things that you could get that will be a nuisance on the table and cheaper, and do similar things, albeit they'll be more fragile, but you could start bringing in, spamming some of those units over this one. We've got the missile variants, usable in the Succession Wars through the Ill Clan, 26 points, TMM1, 6T, 232 for damage, 8 life, EE, IF, LRM, search, and turret. So this one coming at 8 points more than that previous one for similar life, but a considerable boost in damage. Still not super happy about the survivability of it with the low TMM and the movement, but at least it pumps out some damage relative to the previous variant we looked at. I think there's probably some other stuff that you're just going to get a little bit more bang for your buck for you, model case wise, unit wise. But I generally like trying to field more models versus less, so probably can't go wrong using it, but there's probably some better stuff that you could use. And then finally, we have the Clan Pike support vehicle, 22 points, Clan Invasion through the Ill Clan eras, TMM1, 6T, 222 for damage, 8 life, case, search, turret. Yeah, again, I think that for similar damage, you wouldn't have the long range damage, but I think there's some other variants of vehicles in the Kickstarter that I picked up that will do similar things for cheaper points, albeit they're a little more fragile. If you're playing games where you think you'll be leveraging long range more often, then this might have a niche case over some of those other small vehicles that you could field in mass on the table. J. Edgar Light Hover Tank, 23 points, usable in the Star League through the Ill Clan. 4 TMM, 22 hover, 110 for damage, 5 life. I like this. It doesn't do a lot of damage, but the TMM makes it super annoying to deal with. Its movement and mobility makes it such that it can really harass your opponent and try and flank and get it behind them, and I like that. So I think that while there might be some fragility to it, that mobility and that TMM is just going to make it a freaking nuisance to deal with. The light PVC variant coming in at 4 points more, usable in the Dark Age and Ill Clan era only. TMM4, 22 hover, 111 for damage, 6 life, I think it went up by 1. Yeah, one more life, E&E, and search. So same kind of concept as the other one, except this one has, oh, it didn't have any, I thought there was something different out here. Yeah, just 1 more life, really, and long range damage. So, yeah, I mean, if you're playing on a table that has long range, perhaps you could be leveraging that, just skirting around. But at that point, your opponent's probably just going to ignore this thing anyway, and then you've got 27 points that's being invested to just shoot 1 damage a turn. I think running lighter to save points and then trying to get up on someone's rear with that TMM and then really making them deal with you and be able to hit and run is probably more useful than having a high TMM, low damage unit skirt at long range, at which point your opponent's just going to ignore them. So put it in perspective, if your opponent has got a skill 4 unit, they're shooting at this guy at long range, that's 8, you've TMM 4, they need 12s to hit you. That's assuming that you're not rocking terrain or something that they're going to fire through like trees, at which point they couldn't hit you. You end up having an appreciable portion of your points invested in a unit that they can't hit, or they're unlikely to try and shoot, which means that you're making choices for them. They're going to shoot the things they can shoot or can hit, and then you're doing that to just have this unit here cruising around at 1 point of damage for 27 points. That just seems useless to me. Like, the damage is fine, but the fact that you've got a unit that you've invested in just dealing 1 point of damage a turn if it hits, right? Versus if you leverage that TMM and make it something where maybe they have to make a painful choice. Now they're having to choose what they shoot, and maybe this is actually drawing some fire. But sitting 1 point at long range, they're just going to ignore it the rest of the game, and it's probably not going to make its points back. You got to think about this. Let's say this J. Edgar Hoover, or J. Edgar rather, was trying to shoot at another one, right? And you have 1 point of damage at long range, and it has 6 life, right? Think about what you'd have to kill to make its 27 points back. So you'd have to shoot that other J. Edgar 6 turns and hit 6 turns for him to make his points back, right? So because it's not doing much, and it's also not a target your opponent would shoot, it's just kind of points just chilling. So again, for me, I really like leveraging that high TMM here at short range. Like a TMM 4, if they're skill 4, they still need 8s to hit you. They need above average rolls, and that's assuming that they can actually get to you. So like I think close support harassing with these is the way to go, in my opinion. Hopefully that'll make sense. Next up, we've got the J. Edgar tag variant, 30 points, clan invasion through the ill clan eras where it's usable. TMM 4, 22 hover, 110 for damage, 6 life, so a little bit more life. E&E, probe, recon, search, tag, and turret. So this one's nice because with E&E it won't explode. That's pretty cool. It's got probe and it's got recon. So those are really nice if you're using those special rules. And it is a little expensive, so you're definitely paying for the E&E, the probe, and the recon. And the tag. So if you're going to take this one, make sure you're trying to leverage those as best as possible. That is what I would say on that. For the next variant, we have the X-Pulse J. Edgar, 32 points. We're playing, or he's only usable in the Dark Age and the Ill Clan era. TMM 4, 22 hover, 220 for damage, and 6 life. So you're paying almost 10 points more than this guy for 1 more life and doubling your damage. If you're going up close support, danger close, getting behind somebody, he rolls 3 dice on the rear, he rolls 2 on the rear. The question is it worth almost 10 points for a 1 pip extra life and 1 more damage? Whereas if you're fielding 2 of these, that's 64 points, this is 46 points. The difference is almost a whole other vehicle. So when you're doing those things, you have to weigh in what is that point difference worth it for you and what the use case is for these guys. So that is a little bit different when you start to look at the other range bands and so forth, but I'm assuming for me I would be trying to probably get up on your rear and be annoying with these, so that is my use for hovers. And then finally we have the Drillson Heavy Hover Tank coming in at 28 points, usable in the Succession Wars through the Ill Clan. TMM 3, not bad, 18 hover, 221 for damage, 6 life, IF, search, and turret. So it's a little bit more than some of those J. Edgars. It's got a lower TMM, a little bit more damage, so we'll see what the other variants have in store. I do like that it's got the TMM 3, but I really like that TMM 4 from the J. Edgar. We'll see if there's any other ones that have some damage applications they could use. But this one, again, I would probably want to be close support, get behind you on the rear, and deal damage. Losing a little bit of that movement relative to the J. Edgar, where the J. Edgar had the 22 and this one has the 18. 18 moves, still nothing to scoff at, though, so you could probably get up there and still position in such a way that you're annoying your opponent. This variant coming in at 9 points more, we have the MML Drillson variant, usable in the Dark Age and Ill Clan only. TMM 3, 16 hover, 431 for damage, 7 life, so a little bit more life. Case, IF, search. So starting to get into a contender for mechs at this point. 37 points, a lot of points to be thrown at this guy. And his move went down. Yeah, his move went down to 16. So he's got 1 more pip of life, a little bit more damage, and more heavily armored. So to represent that, and he's a little bit slower. So yeah, not super sold on using that one. Let's check the streak variant here. 34 points, 3 TMM, 18 hover, usable in the clan invasion era through the Ill Clan. 330, 7 life. This one feels, for some reason, a little bit more palatable. It's a little bit cheaper than the Drillson was. It's got the same life. It's got similar damage. The Drillson had the 431. This one has the 330. But you did shave off 3 points there, Searchlight and Turret, and you lose Case and IF, which you're probably not using IF that much anyway. But the big deal for me is you got that extra 2 inches of move, so you can get up and scoot a little bit more, so it's going to help you outflank some. So I like that, and you've shaved a little bit of points. So always trying to find value with what you're spending your points on in Alpha Strike. And finally, we have the C variant, usable in the Ill Clan and Dark Age eras only. 42 points, 3 TMM, 18 hover, so same move. 541 for damage, 7 life, 42 points again with Case, IF, and Search. That's a lot of points for a vehicle at 42. I feel like there's some mechs that you could probably be fielding that might get more bang for your buck out of them. I really like my vehicles to be lean and mean and not expensive machines. And no, it's a little bit of alliteration there, I suppose. But I really like the mobility that you can bring to bear with the TMM at the lower point cost. So I'm not a huge fan of that expensive hover vehicle. I'd rather be running cheap and lean and trying to get up behind you be annoying, while my more expensive stuff, my mechs and so forth, push forward. That said, let's go ahead and take a look at some of the models. So I believe this is the Drillson. Yes, so looking at the picture, it's got the little L-rims here. Okay, that moves. Yep. Yeah, so I mean, there's a little bit of a mold line around the skirt, which is expected. That turret does not move. This one does. Yeah, soft in there. This one, it looks fine. It's definitely a hovercraft, but pretty basic. You'll be just fine with your paint, a wash, and a dry brush. That'll get you going. Trying to make out some of the details because they look a little soft, which is a common thing you'll hear me keep saying with these box sets, is that that's a thing that occurs on some of them, some worse than others. And then some of the areas with the rough mold lines, like right here, part of the little crew compartment there has got a mold line going right across the window and jacks that up. Not very easy to clean that one. Let's take a peek at his brother here and see if he's any better. Yeah, nasty little mold thing you got to clean on that side if you're going to clean them up. But looks consistently similar. This is a thing that's been happening too. This area right here, which is normally like a little snip nub thing, some of them are dipping in, right, instead of like bulging out where you can clean them, and then you end up with holes or craters, and I don't like that. There's been a few have done that, and if you want to fix it, that ends up being like shaving and filling and puttying. And for these type of models, for me, at the price point, I want to put minimal hobby time to get them onto the table because I paid a price for this type of plastic. So like having to sit there and doctor it's a little frustrating. If I buy a premium model kit and I'm going to plan to go through all the effort to clean all the mold lines and do that stuff, that's fine. But usually then when you're looking at hard plastic kits from like Games Workshop or something, those are really easy to work with. Anyway, dealing with this like kind of board gaming kind of plastic is really annoying because it likes to curl. So next up we have got this is the J. Edgar? This is the J. Edgar. So same kind of thing, mold line areas like right through here. This side looks reasonably fine. That one's going to be kind of a pain to clean. If you do, I mean, some of these I might not care that much because I'm not going to be throwing the craziest paint job on them. I'll make them look good enough. Mold line running across right here. I don't mind the mold lines kind of on the skirts, but the ones that go across the panels and the windows seem like weird spots to have mold lines to me. However, the molds were designed, that seems really, really weird. Yeah, I mean, all in all, seems reasonable. The details on the fin definitely look watered out. I'm not sure what that's supposed to be at this point. There's some kind of something that's supposed to be defined there, but it's like super, super soft. So I'm not actually sure what I would be painting there if I was going to be hand detailing. Let's check out this J. Edgar. A little turret popped out. Boop. Boop. Okay. Same thing that I was just talking about on the fin, so you can't really tell what the detail is supposed to be. It's kind of soft. But the majority of these panel lines look like they're going to be fine. Look like they're going to, take your wash and your dry brush pretty well, which is probably what most people are doing with these. Some of us might go above and beyond, do some crazy work on them, but the average person's probably just going to put paint down, hit it with a wash, hit it with a dry brush, and do some quick details and be done. And for what I'll use these for like the channel, that's probably what's going to happen. I'm not painting up these tanks for paint competition, personally. So moving on, the next one in our card list to show is the Pike over here. Let's check this guy out. And I think you guys, if you're into Battletech, you might understand why I thought this was a Shrek, because I had the triple barrels, or Alicorn. I think that's also triple barrel too. I like some of the tanks don't show some of this detail down here with the tread, so I do like that you can see the wheels down in there. Some of the tanks you don't get. This is another one of those spots where from the mold where it dips in, so there's a little crater here, right in there. So when you have to shave something or trim it, that's fine. When the cleaning process for minis for me is subtractive, that seems fine because I'm removing parts from the model, clearing a mold line, subtractive. if the prep for a model to fix it is additive, now I'm having to do work for a thing that I bought that I shouldn't have to do. In my opinion, we shouldn't have to fill craters and stuff like that on these models. Shaving a mold line is acceptable in my opinion, but when you get something like that, well, now I'm having to correct something that shouldn't have been that way in the first place, in my opinion. So subtractive cleaning for the model process makes sense, but additive means I'm having to put something there that should have already been there, in my opinion. But yeah, I digress. Let's get back to looking at this. The panel lines and stuff look fine. Again, I think you're going to be able to hit this with your paint and a dry brush, and it'll do just fine. Sorry, paint, wash, dry brush, yeah. And let's check this one for consistency. And same kind of issue here. That one does bulge out, so you could shave it, but you can see it kind of dips in. So when you go to shave that, the whole back here is kind of curving in right there. Let's see what it looks like if I nip that out. Yeah. So like that whole panel is kind of cratered in, not a big hole, but it's because instead of being flush and flat, it's warping in and curving. So this might have been where that might have been where the injection point in the sprue was, and this is just warped and it's not flat. So yeah. But the rest of this, even with the imperfection there, the rest of it looks consistent. I wish that these areas here were a little wider so that you could drill in and put your antennas in. Right now they're so small it's going to be really hard to actually line them up on that exact spot to do that. But that's a minor thing. And then last but not least, we have the Patton. And same thing. This one's actually, I can't tell where the antennas are. I'm assuming they're going to go on these little spots here. Those are probably a little easier to get at than these guys were. So we've got this little nasty spot at the front where we have to clean that right there. And then again, same kind of thing. It curves in here and it dimples down. So there's like a little crater here once you clean it. This right here curves in. Small thing, but still a little annoying nonetheless. I think if that type of thing is, especially not on the front, when you put it on the rear, at least you're not going to see it that much. But on the front, that kind of thing shouldn't be there, in my opinion. Looks like the LRM holes here at the bottom are getting washed out. They're almost completely filled in. That's not the first time I've seen that on these. Also, I've seen it on some mechs and stuff before. So currently, I'm digging through, looking at all the vehicles. We will have to see what the mechs look like when I get to the unboxings of those. Yeah, I really like, this looks good. I'm pretty happy with it. I mean, aside from the obvious thing at the front I mentioned, I really like the skirts here, and then where you can see the wheels on the treads, because you get a difference in texture and visuals, and I like that personally. So yeah, I think these are reasonably fine. Despite the critiques I may have for them, I think for the price, they are still a pretty good value, and definitely good value in relation to the 3D prints on the market and the third-party proxies you might be using in the form of like Cav or Heavy Gear or Death Ray Designs. So not too bad.
And there you have it, folks. That is a first look at the heavy battle and sweep lances from Battletech. Hopefully you found this interesting, and if you are currently waiting for your Kickstarter pledge, I hope that stuff gets to you soon. Please be patient. I can't make excuses for CGL. I don't work there, but I know that I got lucky getting mine when I did, and I know there are probably half of you guys currently still waiting, and I hope you get your product soon. If you've already got your stuff from Kickstarter, that's awesome as well. And in either case, I'd love for both of you to get in the comments below and let me know if you had any thoughts, concerns, critiques, anything at all about this package here or the channel. Get in the comments. Let's get a discussion going. On that note, folks, I've got nothing left for you today. If you want to help support the channel, make sure you check out the description down below. All the relevant links for helping support the channel can be found there. All your support is super appreciated. But with that said, it's time for me to go. As always, keep painting your models, keep rolling your dice, and I will catch you guys next time. If you made it this far, you're probably a viewer that already hits that like button when you see a video come up. You're probably already a subscriber, and you probably jump into the comments down below to help support the channel, to help support that algorithm. But if you're looking for some other ways to help support the channel too, make sure you check the description down below. Maybe you want to pick up some paints from Monument Hobbies. That's my paint of choice. The Pro Acrylic line is chef's kiss, good stuff. Maybe you want to check out some of the offerings from Death Ray Designs, where I work in my day job. We got plenty of 3D printed products, as well as MDF terrain, some of the stuff that I have designed myself and we play with here on the channel. And if you're looking to bolster your Battletech ranks, miniatures, and offerings, make sure you check out Bobby from Fortress Miniatures and Games. He's one of the main supporters of the channel as well, and supporting any of these companies helps support what I do and helps to ensure that I can continue to bring content to all of you. If you want to become a super supporter, I highly recommend you guys check out the Patreon. You guys give that extra little edge to help push more content out, and I really do appreciate that. And my ultimate goal on the channel is to continue to be able to not only put out the content we have now, but to get to a point where you can put out more content later, whether that be battle reports or painting tutorials or just more rambles, anything at all. I'd like to be doing more content for you. This is something that I enjoy. I like being able to cast a light into the darkness to bring a little bit of hobby positivity to all of you and make you feel good, and also enjoy playing games myself. As we do the final sign off here though, I do want to go ahead and switch on over and do the scroll of awesome to showcase all the Patreon supporters, the super supporters of the channel, to give them some recognition for helping support what I do. Thank you guys so much, and I will catch you guys next time.